and your Saturday night can be a bit of a bitch.
Saturday night is the loneliest night in the week.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Load up Toxic Radio every Saturday night for the Heavy Metal Happy Hour. With the one and only Fishman.
I know that, dude.
There will be interviews, ticket giveaways, a little bit of banter with Toxic Mike, and of course great metal from the 80s all the way through today. Starts at 7 p.m., runs until Fish says it's over.
Everyone get out!
Catch it only on Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic. Hey guys, dating life going pretty shitty?
I find you so creepy, I think you should have to walk around with a bell around your neck.
Finding yourself getting a little desperate for some female companionship?
Alexa, tell me you love me.
Hell no. You disgust me.
What you need is to upgrade your style right now. The Toxic Store's got exactly what you need. Pick up some stylish gear featuring Deviant Gamer, Toxic Radio, and the Heavy Metal Happy Hour.
Oh, yeah!
You can find the store through the Toxic Radio app or toxicradio.net. Get in the game.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Get yourself a little love.
That guy's getting boobies. Yeah, he is.
Toxic Radio and the Toxic Store. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. All sports talk shows are the same, right?
I am bothered by everything.
You gotta go back to football school.
The goal of this guy, it's just immeasurable.
Wrong. In a world filled with talking heads more interested in their own celebrity than actually knowing the sports world, it's hard to find the people who really care about sports first. Look no further. Wire to Wire has it all covered. These guys have the knowledge and the cred to back up their opinions. No hot takes to get attention, just straight up opinions. Know anyone else who correctly called the 2020 World Series and March Madness? How about 70% on the NFL and NCAA football last year? You don't. Bottom line, these guys know their shit. They aren't doing it for attention, they're doing it for passion. Wire to Wire, live every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern, only on Toxic Radio and wherever you find podcasts.
Welcome to Wire Sports Podcast. I'm your ugly host, Gene Walzak, the NFL genius. To my right, I got the man, the myth, the legend, the uncle, Shally.
What's up? Woke up feeling like a winner today.
Did you feel like a winner?
Feel like a winner today.
I hope so.
Felt like a winner this morning.
Coming to us remote, we got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College, Cuttrell.
I woke up feeling like a winner too, Bill. I didn't win anything, but I felt like it.
Yeah, because you lost the bet.
Bro, I felt like a winner also, just to be clear. I feel like a winner every single day I wake up right now. I'm feeling great. I feel awesome. We got a lot of sports to get into. We got to talk about UFC, which I really want to park on a lot for a little while. We have NBA playoffs. We have the final four of the movie bracket. A little pony talk. 2 out of the last 4 years, the biggest long shot in the Derby has won the race. That's pretty wild. Well, let's get started with UFC. And we can get started with one of the fights that, I in my opinion, the fight to start with is the kick heard around the world.
It was, it was Anderson Silva-esque.
It was nasty.
It was.
Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler, if you're living under a rock and you didn't see the kick, you should watch it.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Powerful's an understatement.
It was listen, I will say this. Tony looked better. I'm gonna say better than I thought he was going to. But Tony was in that fight. I mean, Tony hurt Chandler earlier in the fight. It was just pretty much two guys throwing bombs for the first round. And then it was the kick heard around the world. It was an entertaining start to the main card for sure. With out of the three biggest fights.
I will say this though, the entire pay-per-view to me was terrible. Just like as a whole, all five. Yes, I agree.
Well, I mean, you had so much wind taken out of the sails when Oliveira missed weight. So I mean, you already knew the main event was not for the belt anymore. So that sucked. You have the other fight that played out the way it did, which we'll get to in a minute. This fight was great. I mean, overall, I mean, wasn't their strongest card.
Yeah, but
fighting means.
the Shogun.
Cerrone got dropped.
So yeah, Cerrone got food poisoning. They rebooked that fight already, which is good though. So I'm glad that fight's gonna happen.
OSP versus Shogun, who was a snooze fest.
I mean, Shogun. I don't know why Shogun's like. I didn't even know he was still on the freaking roster. To be honest, like I mean, I saw that and I was like, oh, he's still fighting.
But I will say this: Michael Chandler's kick landed so flush, so perfectly, and he even talked about it in his interview. He was talking about, yeah, we prepare for that. We know he head bobs when this happens, and we've seen an opportunity for a front leg kick, and it just landed perfectly. It was the most flush knockout I've seen maybe in my life.
He did not miss it.
No, not at all. Hit the perfect spot.
You knew how flush it was just because after he kicked him, he didn't even go over and hit him a couple times. He just walked away. He knew the fight was over, and
those guys know when they hit somebody that hard. I mean, again, it's up there. It's up there with Silva and Vitor. You have Gabriel Gonzaga versus Crow Cop, which is still one of the nastiest kicks I've ever seen. That was a statement Michael Chandler needed to make. So I mean, it was a very good fight for him going forward. It was a good result.
The other interesting thing too, I feel like is just seeing what happened in that fight with Gaethje and Oliveira. I'm sure we're going to get to it soon, but that puts Chandler in a really awkward position right now. It's kind of like what's next for him, just because right now with Oliveira missing weight, that division is in such just shambles.
I got you. So listen, everybody else, it's been like the popular narrative right now to call out Conor McGregor because it's a big money fight. That's the fight, though. It's him or Masvidal, one or the other. You have to put Conor versus one of those two guys. That's it. Not Charles Oliveira, not Kamaru Usman, not Colby Covington.
Agreed.
I think that's a perfect fight. Michael Chandler has got that heavy knockout power. He's going to stand there. He's going to try to throw with Conor. It'll be a war. It'll be a strong fight. Somebody's going to get knocked out, and it'll be fun to watch. That's what's next for Michael Chandler. The division, I can see it. Like it's like I have eyes, and we can't talk about the full division yet. And we'll talk about that after we recap the other two fights because the Charles Gaethje fights is part of that. But for Chandler, what's next? To me, it's Conor McGregor.
I mean, I think Conor is ideal. I mean, Conor, again, he's not going to make any more money than he would fighting Conor. And you have, to your point, he can't fight Oliveira again. It's too new. It's too recent, the loss. I don't think you go like Poirier or anything like that. And I agree with you. I think him going up to 170 is not the answer either. I mean, I think it's Conor or bust. Conor seemed very receptive to the idea. I just don't think Conor's as close to coming back as people think he is.
That's what Dana said.
Dana keeps saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how long Chandler wants to sit. I mean, after that, I'd want to fight again pretty soon.
October, right?
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's trying October. But I mean, apparently the rumor with Conor is November. I mean, so it's only an extra month then at that point.
Correct.
So
now you wait the extra month for the red panty night.
It would be red panty night for sure. He still is what he is.
The one question though would be, if you're Chandler, would you want to run into that? I mean, I would say Conor off of that injury is probably the best possibility that you want him at, because he's probably not going to be 100% himself. But if you're Chandler, if you fight Conor and you lose that fight somehow, that immediately takes you out of contention, I feel like.
If in his contract you get pay-per-view points, which I'm pretty sure he does, if in his contract he gets pay-per-view points, if you fight Conor McGregor, you get more money fighting him than fighting as the champion on a headline card. It just doesn't matter.
Money,
but
I'm sure he wants to be
all
a
that
champion,
matters.
though.
No, he doesn't. Well, he does want to be champion, but the truth is, you want $5 million, or do you want to try to fight Charles Oliveira again and lose?
I don't think it's even a discussion, because I don't think he's getting Oliveira again. I mean, it just happened. Again, we'll get to it when we get to the main event here, but Oliveira's kind of booked too. Like that, there's no way that's Oliveira's next fight. So
I think Oliveira's got. I think Oliveira has 2 fights, and we'll get into that. I promise. Yeah. Let's move on next. Let's move on.
Let's get through the snooze fest here.
Well, we could talk about the snooze fest. I'll tell you this: it is very obvious that Carla Esparza owns significant real estate in Rose Namajunas' head. It's obvious.
No doubt about it.
They fought in 2014, and in my head, I'm like, Rose is so past this. I picked Rose to win the fight. She's so past this. She's not going to allow this to bother her. It is 8 years ago. She's a million times better fighter. And they got in the ring, and it was very obvious that Rose was like, I do not want to go through that again, where I get taken down, I get mauled the entire fight, and she fought a scared fight. It was pathetic. To be perfectly honest with you, and I said this to Bill on the ride up, and I'll say it out loud here. I don't know if Carla did enough for me to say she should be the champion, but Rose definitely didn't defend her belt. I'm of the adage of you have to beat the champion, and Carla did not beat the champion. But if you're asking me to judge that fight and score that fight, Carla Esparza won the rounds. Won the rounds that if you had to put a gun to my head. I would have been an asshole and scored a 10-10 first 2 rounds. They didn't throw a punch. Attempted takedown was what Carla got in round 1.
I don't think you're allowed to score around 10-10, correct?
I think you are. I'm pretty sure you are.
I think you are.
But with that being said, I'm not Rose's biggest fan like you two are, but I'm not a huge hater of her. You guys might think I am, but that pay-per-view made me a little bit like closer to the hater side than it would make me towards liking her. Like, it was pathetic the way she handled herself. And I maybe I'm the only person that gets annoyed at this. I'm sure I'm not, because I've seen TikTok videos and shit like that. But I hate her walking out. I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. And then after the fight, after the most boring fight that gets booed the entire time, she's so oblivious to what happened. She cheers in Carla's face and yells, I'm the best. After that 5-round fight, dude, that was so out of touch.
I don't know if it was so much I don't know if I would say out of touch. I think she legitimately thought she did enough to win the fight. We had this conversation on the way down. There are times, and we've seen it with other champions, both men and women, who go in and you could tell their game plan is almost to stay safe, survive, do enough to get a decision, and get out of there when it's a bad matchup. You hate for any champion to fight that way or have any champion have that be their game plan. But that being said, that's how she went in there. I mean, she did everything in her power not to get taken down. She wanted to avoid the ground game at all costs. She was very tentative. She didn't fight, anywhere near like she does, and the reason why she has fans. She is a very talented striker. But I was very disappointed. I was very disappointed in Rose. I was very disappointed that was their game plan. I mean, it just. The whole pay-per-view came to like a grinding halt after that fight, and then you already knew going into the main event it wasn't for a belt. Like, it kind of put a damper on the whole thing. I agree with you. I think if you want to go take the belt from somebody, you have to beat them. But that being said, I mean, you could easily make the argument that Carla tried more than Rose did. And if you're going off their scoring system, I don't know how you score the fight anything other than 3-2 for Carla. I just don't.
And there was one judge that had 4-1 Carla. One judge had 49-46.
Yeah. So
I want to go to Wireline, get Control's opinion on these two comments. So Bob Tierney on the Wireline said Chandler versus Connor at 170 would be a banger. Connor's been in the gym nonstop. Give him 3 to 4 month camp. That's a massive prize fight. He also said 10 rounds are possible, but it never happens. He's a big. I'll tell you right now. If I want to pick a fight and see a winner, like this guy he watches all the fights. Like Sixers in the playoff game, he's watching the fight night. Like, he's very UFC heavy. What are your thoughts on those two comments? And then your thoughts on Carla Rose, Cottrell?
Actually, fighting 70 would be the smartest possible move for Michael Chandler. I think that would be a fight that would keep him in contention in that lightweight division. And I also think it would be smart because he's going to get that money. As for the 10-10 rounds, I think that, if there ever are any rounds that should be 10-10, it's probably what we saw in the Carla and Rose fight, just because nothing happened. You guys both alluded to that already. My thing is, though, with Rose is that clearly she was afraid of the takedowns. She had the defenses against those takedowns. And even when Carla did get her on the ground, she got right back up. So I don't know why she was still afraid of being taken down. I don't know why her corner didn't tell her to attack more, move forward, push the action. And I actually think all 3 of the judges scored it pretty perfectly. The one judge who had a 49-46, I could easily see that. The one judge who had it 48-47, I could see that if you're of the mindset that to be the champion, you have to beat the champion. I'm okay with 48-47. And the other judge who scored it 48-47 for Carla, I mean, by technicality, if you absolutely have to pick a winner each round, I agree. I think Carla won 3-2. So all three judges' scorecards, as crazy as they were, I agree with all three of them. So I think that just kind of shows how awful that fight was. And you talk about, you not being a Rose hater, and, me and Bill are big Rose fans. I won't necessarily say that I'm the hugest Rose Namajunas fan. I am a fan of her. My thing is, though, I like watching her fight. And so for that, that makes me less of a fan, like the performance that she just put out. I'm also a fan of just their camp in general. Trevor Whitman coaching up, her, Gaethje, Usman, I enjoy that. I like seeing those camps win and things like that. So certain camps are a part of that too. But for Rose, I mean, this definitely should be a lesson for her. I think that in the press conference afterwards, she needed to be a little bit more humble. There's no way you go there and you're 1,000,000% confident that you won that fight after that kind of performance. But the whole I'm the best thing and that being her psyche and gets her going, I have no problem with that. And just because, I mean, she's had her mental problems before. So if that's what gets her going and keeps her motivated, I'm cool with her doing that. But fight was a dud as a whole, though. So
the comment on the press conference. Thank you for bringing that up. Look, I think it's corny and cheesy. I don't like it, but I understand it if it's for psyche. I'm the best thing. Going in that press conference and saying the fans were booing Carla, they weren't booing me. I think they were booing Carla, and that she clearly won the fight. It's so out of touch and out of whack. Just go watch the fight before you talk to people. Just watch it. It was pathetic. Joe Rogan, the announcers, the crowd, everybody was literally trashing them during that fight. I don't know how you could walk into that press conference proud.
Would you say that's the worst fight you've ever seen?
Yes. It was worse than Francis. My previous worst ever was Francis versus Derek Lewis. That was
that's
awful.
Probably. I think that one is probably still one for me, just because, well, one, it was Francis and Derek Lewis, two guys who I know for a fact is going to give me a knockout. I think Rose and Carla, it had like a small dud potential. I didn't think there was any possibility of Derek and Francis being a dud. So I'll go that, just because it disappointed me a little bit more, especially with how heavy a striker those two are.
That was a 3-round fight, though. Carla Rose is 5 rounds of nightmare. We had a whole party, and we're like, it was a dud. It really just took the air out of the sails.
Did you think there was any possibility? Obviously, no one thought it was going to be that bad, but did you think there was any possibility of it being a dud just because
I thought it could be
Carla's
a boring
style?
fight. I thought it could be boring fight.
Yeah,
but I didn't think
my
it could
thing.
be
Expectations
not to that level. I mean, again, I thought it would be a slower fight because Rose wanted to stay away from the takedown so much. I mean, them just circling each other for minutes on end, though. I mean, doing nothing.
The first round, not a punch was thrown.
Literally nothing.
It was, what, total 3 punches?
No, 0 the first round.
Yeah, I mean, never in my wildest dreams did I think we were getting that.
Look, what's next for each fighter? I'll write you a blueprint. Dana kind of already said what it's going to be. Joanna's going to fight Weili Zhang. The winner of that's going to fight Carla. And Dana White's going to get on his knees and pray to the heavens above. And it's going to happen, because the winner of Joanna versus Weili Zhang is going to run through Carla Esparza like coffee after breakfast. And it's literally going to be a beating that Carla just shouldn't even sign up for. After that, then you're going to get Rose versus either Joanna or Weili, which will be a way better fight. People will tune in for, and it will be to hopefully get Rose's belt back to her. Because I don't think there was an argument who's the best 115 woman after she beat Weili the second time. But, Joanna versus Rose, or Joanna versus Weili, are going to be great fights. I want to watch those fights. Carla's just in the way.
That what do you have Rose do in the meantime, though?
Sit.
Joanna and Zhang, they
put her
fight
in versus Karate Hottie.
A couple of weeks.
Put her in versus Michelle Watterson.
No.
The name I keep hearing is Marina Rodriguez.
That's fair.
I think that's where you're going to go.
Didn't Marina Rodriguez just win on this card though? Yeah, so that's perfect too.
Yeah, so they're going to be on the same camp time.
Yeah.
She's not going to sit that long.
The other one will be Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern just won a couple weeks ago. She was on one of the bigger cards too. I don't think Mackenzie Dern.
She won a really good split decision. It was a very good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think she could sniff Rose's bathwater, but I mean, just to keep her active, I think that would be one of the fights to make. Rose is going to win, and then either Weili or Joanna are going to beat Carla. So I think that those would be the fights to make.
You don't want to do that to her either, though. Like, there's no reason to put her in a cage with Rose at this point. I would just keep letting her keep winning and build her.
If I was Carla, I'd retire. I'd just be done. Why subject? If you watch Joanna Carla 1, if you watch that fight, it was almost as bad as Mayweather Gotti. Like, it was almost that. It looked like abuse.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you got to see who wins between Joanna and Weili first. I
get
mean,
it.
If it's Weili, then like I said, I think she can beat Weili. So, I mean, Weili I think is definitely gonna be the favorite, and I would pick her. But I mean, there's routes to victory there for her.
I get it. I just think Weili's too strong. Like, and I don't think she'll be as scared of Carla's takedowns as Rose was.
I mean, I don't disagree with any of that, but I mean, the weakest part of her fight game by far is on the ground. She doesn't want to be there. So I mean, if Carla can get her there, I mean, she can win the fight.
I just don't think Carla is. I think Carla is the 5th or 6th best fighter in that division.
I don't think anybody would argue that.
I think if Weili beats Joanna, she's going to have that confidence back to her too. It'd be different if she was just thrown in there against Carla right now, where she's on the 2-fight losing streak. But I think if she goes in there, beats Joanna, and we all know how tough Joanna is. Obviously, we saw in their first fight. That's arguably one of the best fights ever. So I think Weili would get the confidence back, and if she did beat Joanna and then she went in there against Carla, I think she'd make easy work of Carla.
I'll tell you right now, I think Joanna's going to knock Weili out. I think Weili's confidence is damaged. And I think after catching that knockout the first fight versus Rose, you could tell the second fight she was a lot more tentative in going in, being worried of the knockout. After you get your bell rung once, it's a totally different game. And I think Joanna's going to stop Weili. But we'll get into that when
that happens. And I mean, she's literally the definition of in a bad spot.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like, she's almost done at that point.
Ronda Rousey territory.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the main event. New Bronx, Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. That was a very exciting 3.5, 4 minutes. It was great. It was great to watch. Somebody made a point to me, and I want to start with this, and I want to get your comments on the fight. But Charles Oliveira has something that I don't know how many people could do. Damian Maia, if he had the strike game of Oliveira, maybe. But every time Oliveira gets tagged, which he did twice in this fight versus Gaethje, and he got tagged, lit up, clear-cut, flush punches, he falls on his back and lets himself recover. He literally gets a free 10 seconds because Gaethje does not want to engage. No, most people don't want to engage with Charles on the ground. So he gets tagged, he falls down, lays on his back, and lets himself recover until the official makes him stand up.
Yep.
And it's literally like you're getting yourself like a free recovery time because he's so good on the ground.
It's the benefit of having a well-rounded arsenal. Nobody wants to go on the mat with him.
I don't think I've ever seen, and I'm not kidding with you, you guys can remind me, but I don't think I've ever seen a fighter the level of his jiu-jitsu with the ability to strike the way he does. Like, combining that. I've never seen that. I've seen Khabib, with his level of wrestling, learn how to become a better striker, but I think we'd all agree Charles is a better striker than Khabib was. But who's a fighter that you've seen with that ability of striking? Because Charles isn't the best striker in the division. Dustin's a better striker.
It's probably Anderson.
But I don't think Anderson had that ability of jiu-jitsu that Charles does. I think Anderson was scared of Damian Maia on the ground, bro.
I don't want to say the word scared. I think he just knew his advantage standing up was so much more greater. There was no reason to go.
You watched that fight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Because he won the first 2 rounds and then ran from him the entire fight. The next 3 rounds he ran. That's why Dana White called him out. Like, that's.
I get it, but again, I mean, there's again, if you're winning a fight, there's running and there's also not putting yourself in danger. I mean, there's
It was very similar to Joanna versus, I mean, not Joanna, to Rose versus Carla.
It wasn't that
Like,
bad.
it was awful.
I mean, the first 2 rounds were, the first 3 minutes of the first round were more action packed than that entire fight. Anderson's there. I mean, you could probably argue GSP to some degree, but I mean, those are the 2 names that popped into my head.
Okay. GSP didn't have the striking game Charles does, but I get you.
That's true.
GSP.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so what were your thoughts on the main event? What were your thoughts on Du Bronx? And then we'll get into what's next for everybody.
To be honest, I feel like that fight went exactly how I thought it was going to go, but in a very condensed scale. I thought that was what we were going to see throughout 3 rounds of the fight, and we got it all in the first, 3.5 minutes. So I said that I thought Charles was going to win via submission. It definitely got a little murky thereafter. I saw him miss weight, on Friday, and him not being able to shed half a pound, that in my mind already got me thinking, well, if he can't shed half a pound, then he should already be spent, Normally half a pound wouldn't seem like that much. Most people would go to the sauna or whatever, and half a pound shouldn't be that terrible to shed in an hour. But for him, he just couldn't do it, and he didn't move it. He didn't move at all. So I thought there was a possibility that he was spent. He looked good at the first weigh-in, so I don't know, what was going on there. And even in the fight, he looked good. He didn't seem like he was worn out or anything. So it'll be interesting to see if it ever fully comes out what happened with that. Especially seeing him tweet beforehand, Thursday night that he had officially made weight and he was all good to go there. So that whole dynamic was very odd to say the least. But as far as the fight goes,
foul play? Do you think there was foul play?
No. I don't think there's any conspiracy theories. Okay. I don't think that the scales were tampered at all. I just think there was inconsistencies throughout the whole process. I do think the scales were slightly different, from the hotel backstage to where they actually weighed in front of everybody. But I don't think it was any malpractice there. I don't think anybody messed with anything. It is what it is.
Can I make a quick comment on that real quick?
Go ahead.
Do you remember Eddie? Did you want to talk about the Eddie Alvarez thing?
No, I was going to talk about the last time that they were in Phoenix.
So just real quick, and you can get into that in a second, but Eddie Alvarez had an interview right before the Justin Gaethje Oliveira fight, and he had said that he thinks Charles is too big for the division, and he kind of called it he's like Charles and his camp put on more muscle. Like his goal was to become a little bit more muscular. So when he was shedding weight, I really just don't think he had anything left to shed.
No, he's a bigger dude. It's a tough cut for him. That's not.
And I think and Cottrell said he thinks he looked good in the weigh-in. I think he looked like a corpse. I think he looked spent. I think he looked awful in the weigh-in.
I don't think he looked that drawn out. I don't think he looked that drawn out like he has before. I mean, there's that infamous photo of Conor making weight for whatchamacallit that one year. I mean, he looked like
death.
Yeah. I mean, and then by fight time, he put 20 pounds back on overnight. But I don't think Oliver looked that bad. I just think he's a bigger dude. I mean, and if you're adding muscle weighs more than fat. You can't really cut muscle like that.
Yeah,
it's a tough cut for him to get down there.
Agreed. They said that he would be well more suited for the 170 division.
He'll be in better shape in 170. I don't know how fair up there. I mean, because then you have guys like Usman who walk around at 195 and cut down to 170, and then come fight time, they're back in the cage at 185. That's tough. Like that's kind of like the game of all of it. I mean, how big can you be, and what can you cut down to still be healthy, have energy, get on that scale, weigh in, and then recover overnight and walk into the cage 10 to 15 pounds heavier the next night. I mean, it's all a game. It's a lot of moving parts. It's these guys all have top notch physios and nutritionists and everything else that monitor literally every little thing they do. And again, you saw with Oliveira, I saw people with funny comments, all over Twitter, somebody's like, yo, he couldn't go take a shit, anything, you can't get rid of half a pound.
I just thought he was empty.
He was. There was nothing there. He couldn't pee. There was nothing. There was nothing he was going
He's
to.
He's already dehydrated.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Could you finish your Arizona point?
Last time that they were in Arizona, when Figueiredo fought Moreno the first time, Figueiredo missed weight for the first weigh-in, and then he went back and after the hour, he lost the half a pound that he was over. But going, so it was kind of the same thing as Oliveira going into the weigh-in. His camp had already said that he had made weight, so he thought he was all good to go. So Figueiredo was very caught off guard when they got there and he got to the arena and he missed weight. So they're saying, this being the second time that that's happened, is it just their commission is just a little bit more strict than what others are? Is it a case of their scales are just different as opposed to what they are outside of the arena, back to the hotel? So it's just a few different factors there. I don't think we'll be seeing them go to Arizona anytime soon, though.
They do. I mean, they do use different scales than Vegas does. So I mean, but again, it's weird because to Cottrell's point, I mean, you even touched on a little bit too. There's always like whatever scale they're using, like in front of everybody. There's one backstage.
Yeah,
and the fighters have access to it at any time to go in. So it's crazy that he weighed in when he got there earlier. They thought he was fine. He weighed in on the backstage scale and he was fine. And it's somewhere in those 2 hours. Gained half a pound. They said he didn't eat. He practically didn't drink anything.
So just to be clear,
so it's crazy.
He didn't have to gain a half a pound. The way the UFC scales work, the way the weigh-ins work, he could have been 155.1, and he would have been listed as 155.5. Did you know that?
Well, yeah, because anything over, correct?
Anything over.
But you would think though, when you're up front in front of everybody though, if you're at 155.1, especially with like the manual scale, typically most commissions are going to lean the 155 even and just call it a day. With being in Arizona, he just got a bad guy weighing him in. And I think the other interesting thing too is that Oliveira's had a problem in the past missing weight. So that's why I don't want to fully give him the benefit of the doubt, just because we've seen in times before, this is when he was at featherweight, but we've seen in times before that he's missed weight. So I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any conspiracy either. It like him missing weight didn't benefit anything. I mean, literally, it just screwed the main event. Is what it did.
Couple comments on the wire line, real quick. I just want to get to Chris Charlton. What's up, Chris? He said, "I dig the new slowed down show. Loves the and he also said, good point. Can't lose muscle mass. It's not water weight.
Nope."
RJ Kaler says, "I'll be honest. I think Charles has this calm look to him in the octagon, and no matter what way the fight goes, he is solid in all categories."
He has found a different level and a different, kind of gear, for lack of a better term. And he's very confident. He's very relaxed in there right now. And that's a scary, to RJ's point, it's a very scary spot to fight him.
And the last comment on here, didn't Ferguson jump on the scale though? Like, didn't he have a shake, which he did. I just don't think they would have thrown it.
It did, but they recalibrate them before anybody steps on them every time. I mean, listen, he just missed weight. And to Cottrell's point, he's missed weight in the past. And it's just biology. Like, and anybody will tell you, like, that's why you see guys start their career at like one division and end up moving up to another. It gets harder and harder to cut every single time. Like, you almost have to, you can't take any time off and enjoy yourself after these fights if you want to constantly make it an easier cut, because you have to stay at that shape. And a lot of these guys don't do that. So as you get older, it gets harder to lose weight. It gets harder to keep it as muscle mass. It's your body has a designated number of cuts that you can make and do this over and over. And I mean, that's why you'll probably see at some point, you'll see Oliveira go to 170. It's just going to be easier for him to fight.
The one last thing that I want to bring up about the scale is Dana White he brought up an interesting point. So typically fighters of the bigger name fighters typically weigh in first. So normally there's a line going into the weigh-ins, and Oliveira weighed in last. So that kind of makes me think, did Oliveira know that he was over a little bit and was kind of just trying to wait it out? Because, most guys, if you're at the weight, you cut the line, especially a guy like Oliveira. You're the champion on the main event. Like, you just cut the line. Dana White said it's that simple. He said, if you're one of those guys, you just cut the line. Tony Ferguson cut the line, got there, got in, got out. And typically you want to be one of the first ones on the scale, because then you can go back and eat and drink and get back up to what you want to be at. And we saw Justin Gaethje posted, a couple hours after the weigh-in, he was already back up to 165. So that's just another interesting tidbit on the whole situation too.
Your boy Chris just said, I mean, because Chandler was on McAfee today, said he's at 190 already. Yeah. And that's, I'm sure that's not him leaving the arena and eating 2 pizzas. That's him just eating a normal 3 meals. Yeah. And that's where he is. I mean, That's what these guys do, man. It's tough. I mean, you see it with wrestling in high school. You know, there's all kinds of like, you know, requirements now. You can't cut a certain amount, like, because it's just not good for your metabolism.
No,
it's just not good for your. It's just not good biology. It's not.
I do want to ask his last question that he asked is, what's next for Charles Oliveira? I want to give my comments and then get your guys' feedback on this.
Good.
All right, so I think what's next for Charles Oliveira should be Islam Makhachev. I think that needs to be the next fight that's made. I think the odds that came out by PointsBet is absolutely absurd. They have Islam listed as a 475 favorite, Charles being a 325 dog. But I think, let's think bigger picture, right? Islam Makhachev should be the next fight at 155 if we're really going on who earned the fight. Bigger picture, though, if Charles gets through Islam, I genuinely feel this. I genuinely believe this.
Say it, Gene.
Habib Nurmagomedov comes out of retirement to fight him.
There you go.
And I think that's his 30-0 fight. I think that's his, like, and that would be, and I think that would break records. And like you're talking about two like ground grappler guys. Like if Habib fought Charles, how does that fight go? Charles wants to be on his back. Habib wants to be on top of him. I think that would be so entertaining to watch. It's the same thing with Islam. Islam's trained by Habib. I think that would be just so much fun to watch. And like that's for true fight fans, though. That's not for the casual. Casuals might not like that fight.
I mean, I don't care if you're a hardcore or a casual. I just don't know how you wouldn't be excited to see Oliveira versus Khabib. I mean, I don't think we get it, but because I truly don't think he's going to fight again. I really don't.
That's fair.
I mean, I think he's had opportunities before this to come out and fight if he wants to.
But what he said was, if someone pulls me out of retirement, someone
the right one,
correct. And if he beats Islam, that's his guy. It's almost like Apollo. Bro, I'm comparing this shit to Apollo Creed and Drago and Rocky being like, all right, man, you want me? Here I come, right? No, like that's the feeling.
Listen, I'm not going to be mad if we get it. I think there's been other comments made. I think Islam's going to fight Dariush first. I think they're going to rebook that. And then I think the winner that's going to get Oliveira.
See, the problem with that though is the problem with that is if you rebook Islam and Beneil, that means that fight's probably not going to happen until late July, maybe early August, and that probably means that Oliveira is done for the year unless you give him a Michael Chandler or you give him one of these filler fights that's not legit. So. And I don't think you want to do that.
I mean, if they fight in July,
if Beneil and Islam fight in July or August, they're not going to turn around and fight Oliveira in December. Like, I just don't see what would be the benefit of them doing that.
They could easily,
100% could, especially Islam. Especially Islam.
They absolutely could fight.
They could, but I don't see what the reason.
Because I'll tell you right now what they'll do is, I mean, if Conor is really going to fight in November, and then you already have on that card, you have Chandler Conor. Now you're going to put Islam and or Dariush. Well, Islam's the bigger name, but you put Islam and Oliveira on that card and everything else. I mean,
that's November. That's New York City.
Correct. That's
the same card. That's UFC 205 all over again. The one that broke all the records.
Yep, it's banger. I mean, and that's what you're gonna get. I mean, and assuming Islam will come out of that fight with no suspensions or like he doesn't break his hand or anything like that, he could easily fight in November.
The problem though is,
you could try. I know you know this answer. Help me. Why did Islam versus Dariush get canceled?
Beneil had to pull out. He got injured.
Yeah.
Then Islam deserves the shot. If it was Islam pulling out, it'd be a different story.
Islam fought Bobby Green.
Yeah, that was that fight.
Now I remember. Islam
and he just came off the fight. So Islam, granted, he beat Bobby Green pretty easily, but Islam still is going to take. I mean, I think he'd be ready by the end of July. But I just think that if you have Islam, the possibility and would put the division in the worst possible case scenario.
I think it's got to be Islam versus Oliveira next. And I think that sets up. And I think Dana has in the back of his mind he might be able to get Habib back if Charles gets through Islam. And I really think that's the direction they head.
Yeah, but you're 2023 for that regardless, though.
No, of course.
So I mean,
why throw him in versus Dariush right now? Why?
Because that was the fight.
Give Dariush Gaethje or Poirier. Let's see if he beats them.
Yep. That doesn't make any sense.
Why?
I'm just going based off what's been reported, dude. And Dana's already hinted at it because he was asked about it numerous times, and he's like, he pretty much said he's like it's probably makes sense. Probably the way we're going because I think he wanted to have that fight to see who becomes the number one contender. Like that was his game plan going in. Obviously, Oliveira missing weight was not part of that game plan. So I think
he said at the press conference though that Islam, he was like Islam Benil was the fight to make, but I just talked to Joe Rogan right before I came out here, and he said don't do it. He said put Islam against Oliveira for the belt. And then he asked the media like, what do you guys think about that? And they were like, yeah, like Oliveira Islam is the way to go.
He did, and I saw a bunch of stuff.
Do it in Abu Dhabi too.
After, I mean, if I'm Oliveira, I don't take that fight there, but. I also, again, he gave other interviews afterwards, and I don't want to say he backtracked on it, but like I really think he wants that fight, and I think that's, again, I'm not going to be mad if come December we're getting Islam, Oliveira. I'm not going to be mad at all.
Yeah.
I just think Islam's going to fight Dariush first.
All right, well,
for the record, Gene, I 100% agree with you.
Any final comments on UFC? We got to move on.
No, I mean, I think Oliveira would.
What is the next pay-per-view?
I think Oliveira would.
Next pay-per-view is in June.
June 11th.
Yep. Who's the headline? Is that the Volkanovski one?
No, that's July.
That's July. July 5th is going to be a huge card.
I mean, there's rumors of that too. I mean, that could be the in-between fight if they go that way. If Volkanovski beats Holloway, there's a lot of people that think he's going to go up and fight Oliveira.
100%. That's definitely another thing that's been said. So I want to get into just real quick the second time in the last 4 years that the Kentucky Derby winner has been the biggest dog in the race. We were close. We were close on a lot of different horses, and they were battling down the stretch.
I mean, with like 100
until we
yards,
picked her right there.
I would say with 100 yards to go, like I felt pretty confident. His little freaking horse, bat out of hell, came out of nowhere.
What's it, Rich? What's the name again?
Rich Strike.
Rich Strike. 81 to 1 favorite. 81.
He was 80 to 1. He was 80 to 1 when they closed.
That's absolutely insane.
Trivia question: can you name the biggest dog to ever win the Kentucky Derby?
No.
Cottrell?
No.
Nope.
Donna Rail back in 1913.
But never would have got that. Donna Rail.
91 to 1.
Donna got railed.
I was going to say I knew the odds because I saw it on the broadcast, but I couldn't remember the name.
Yep, 91 to 1 back in 1913.
That's absurd. I just remember the last time, 2019, when Maximum Security got DQ'd.
Yep.
The number 2 horse in the race, basically the horse that won, was a 65 to 1 dog. He didn't win though. Maximum Security won and got DQ'd.
He actually came in second, but that literally just finally got settled. Like because we were talking about on the way down, I read it in the car. It literally finally just got settled in court. Like it went through court after court.
Yeah, they were pissed.
Like 3 months ago. But yeah, I mean it
was a good call though. If you look at it, listen. I hate saying I had $100 on Maximum Security at 10 to 1 in that race. I hate saying that it's a good call, but if you watch it, the horse definitely left lanes and definitely bumped in our horse.
It's the right call. Yeah, I mean it was crazy, man. I mean it's why it's got the nickname.
Wait, Chris, you had $5 won me $400. Chris Charlton, you had.
I want to see a slip.
Show the slip, bro.
The's way too
many
people.
The slip.
And I'm not saying Chris is one of them, but there's
Chris
way too many damn people that are saying they bet on this horse. It was the highest grossing Kentucky Derby for Twin Spires in Vegas ever. They won more money on this Kentucky Derby than any other Kentucky Derby. Because nobody bet this goddamn horse. Nobody.
Granted, I mean, he wasn't even in the race until
Friday. He got in the race.
Last possible minute.
30 seconds to go. They literally got off the phone with Dwayne Lucas, who was the primary trainer of the horse. The deadline, whatever the hell the other horse's name was, got scratched. They had till 9 o'clock to enter him. They literally got off the phone with Dwayne Lucas at 8:59 in like 30 seconds and decided to put him in and contacted the officials and say we're going to race him. Literally 30 seconds to go before the deadline.
That's insanity.
That horse was up for auction a year ago and sold to the guys who bought him for $30,000. Now, like to some people that might sound like a lot, it's not.
No, not for a horse.
Every other horse that was in that race was at least $200,000, and you had Taiba, the Japanese horse, who sucked just like I feared he was going to, who like just gave up and finished like 30 lengths back. He sold for almost $1 million.
So I think that it's just absurd that, it's funny because I was sitting somewhere with Tim Todd, a friend of mine that's probably listening right now.
He's
awesome. He literally goes, he's trying to sign up for Twin Spires, and he's trying to put $10 in the account to bet on the biggest dog, Rich Strike. And he can't do it. It's like not working because everyone was signing up and the page wasn't loading. So he's asking us to put $10 on him. And no one put the $10 on him for him, and he was pissed.
That's hilarious.
It was funny.
The $2 superfecta literally netted almost $643,000. Nobody got it.
Nobody.
That's
insane.
There was two people that hit it with the $1?
Yeah, I think there was 2 people that hit it with one. So it's half that obviously, but like I said, somebody said I had to verify this, so don't quote me on it, but like I heard 2 different people say it, and they said the same number. They literally, Vegas and Twin Spires literally retained 88% of all the money that was gambled.
It makes
insanity.
sense.
It's insanity.
That makes sense.
They made that much money.
Well, probably is fixed. I'm kidding.
Listen. Here's the thing. I was talking to my buddy Brandon, who watches the show. I work with him, and I have another friend who has, and he's been saying this for 10 years, and he swears by it, and this is like he believes in his heart, like he believes that you believe you can beat Ronda.
Yep.
He says horse racing, the ending isn't fixed, but like the situational of how they position horses is. He compares it to WWE. He's like it's just the opposite though. Like how like when they go out, they know how the match is going to end, but like they're free to do like their stuff in between and how they want to like pretty much like
position the fight,
position it and organize it. He says horse racing is the opposite. He goes with 100 yards to go, 200 yards to go. We want these 5 horses there, and then however it ends, it ends. And then he said like he said watch the video of this race, and you watch it, and it's kind of hard to like I don't want to say argue with them, but like you watch it, like they come around the third turn and like 3 horses just get out of this horse's way for no reason, and he just comes running up the rail and like passes everybody. Like it's stuff like this that happens that like gives credence to his argument. It's nuts.
It's insane that happened. That's 5 minutes on ponies. Go ahead.
I did want to give just one quick little comment. So Mike Leach commented on this, and he was like, "Well, that's head coach, college football." He commented and said, well, if Rich Strike wins the Kentucky Derby, this is the perfect shots for college football committee to see that underdogs have a chance. He wasn't even in this, and then he got into it, and you see what can happen. Even though all the odds are against you. And I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? Like,
what a terrible way to make a point.
College football isn't that. You can't put up the 25th worst team against the best team in the country, and they got a shot. Like, that's just not going to happen.
And it's not even the 25th best. Like, this would be like the equivalent of like Mike Leach telling me that Florida Atlantic should play Alabama and they would have a chance to win. And I'd be like, no. It'll be 72-0 at halftime.
Mike Leach is an idiot.
I mean, he's not an idiot. He's just very outspoken. He's just a goofball. I get the gist of it, but
I'm ready for the Final Four.
Preakness, 2 weeks, baby. Well, actually, not even 2 weeks, week and a half.
I'm ready for the Final Four.
Get more pony picks ready.
This is the Final Four of the movie bracket. This is something I've been waiting to get into, and it's time. I don't want to get fined, so I won't do the hits. I'll stop there.
Don't. You have to pay him Bruce Buffer.
I don't want
Michael Buffer.
Bruce
is Michael.
It's Bruce.
Michael. No, it's Bruce.
Michael Buffer's the ready.
He's the one.
Doesn't matter. They get all the money.
No, Michael's the one that if you say it, though, he has it copyrighted. So if you say it, you theoretically have to pay him.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, we can't afford that.
We're
on a budget.
This is fun.
We could say it is time.
So we have Remember the Titans versus Field of Dreams. We have Rounders versus The Sandlot. Listen, I think we should start on the right side just for the simple fact that, and I'll go first on this one, I'll go last on the second one. I am not changing my philosophy. I am not. I have alligator blood when it comes to this. I don't know what to tell you and just I want you to understand that I'm okay being voted out because I love The Sandlot. I'm all right with that. If you guys go a different direction and just, that's fine. I'm all right with that. But I'm going to splash the pot whenever the fuck I please. Because the best thing that you can have on a bad day is rolled up aces over kings. Hey, listen, I don't, listen, Fat Mikey is sitting 20-40. It's a soft game. I'm going rounders here. I told you I'm going with it until it gets knocked out, but I won't be upset if Sandlot wins. Gene is obsessed with rounders. Ed Conroy, Gene is obsessed with rounders.
I'll go second here. Rounders was getting my vote. In my opinion, it hadn't met a movie that was its match yet. This is that round. This is that round where I think Sandlot it's for me. I don't think this one is too close. I think Rounders deserve to get to the Final Four based on who they had in front of them. But for this one, I think this is Kansas versus Miami in the Final Four. You know, it might be close in the first half. Second half, it gets out of hand. Sandlot gets them by 25. I got the Sandlot by a lot in this one. So,
by a lot?
Bill, it's on you. A lot.
Listen. I was counting on you to get me into the, and I already know where this is going right now, bro.
So listen. I put Rounders on the list. I gave it all the respect in the world. I might have even seeded a little bit too high, depending on who you ask. Some people say low. Gene would have made it a freaking 2 seed probably. But this is what it is. I love Rounders. I've probably seen both these movies similarly amount of times, to be honest, because I like Rounders that much. I watched half of Sandlot again. It was on last weekend, and it was the same thing. Sitting on the couch, and it came on, and I put it on. It's just that much better. To Cottrell's point, you know, the Cinderella runs, they have to come to an end, and they usually always do.
In '85, Villanova did not come to an end.
Yeah, it's you know, you just need everything.
I already know I'm beat here,
you
and
need everything to go
I'm
right.
fine with it.
And it's you know, I wish Mike had Boys and Men queued up because it is the end of the road. Sandlot is the better movie. To the finals we go.
Okay, and Pocket
Jacks is typically a good hand, but when somebody's got pocket aces on the other side, I mean, it just is what it is, and I feel like that's what it is here.
But I have sevens with my jacks. If you know the
and they
movie,
got kings
you know
with their
movie.
aces.
Correct.
All right, so we go to the left side. I'll go last on this one. That's okay. Remember the Titans? Denzel Washington. I don't want them to gain another yard. Versus Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams. The speech at the end. Shoeless Joe. James Earl Jones. Navigate my life. Baseball versus football. Nature versus nurture, Lodge. Nature always wins. I'm feeling it tonight, bro.
Large family breeding.
All right, so I'll go last on this one. Bill, you want to start?
Oh, I'm starting. All right, this one's tough. This is Duke, North Carolina. Remember the Titans, which is based off a true story. That team actually existed. A lot of what you saw in the movie happened. Field of Dreams is obviously a work of fiction, totally original. Baseball versus football, Denzel versus Costner, James Earl Jones, Ray Liotta.
I think Ray Liotta, I'm not kidding when I tell you this, I think Ray Liotta has the best role in that whole movie.
I agreed. And it's funny because, I mean, Shoeless Joe has been in like a different couple movies, 8 Men Out, so forth and so on. I wish Ray Liotta would have played Shoeless Joe in 8 Men Out.
Where's the bell?
Somebody stole the bell. Oh, there it is in the booth.
God damn it, Jamie.
Jamie's got the bell. Listen, I'm just gonna stick to my guns here. This is what it boils down to for me. They're both amazing movies. I can't. You're not gonna really critique either one to say one's better than the other, like performance wise, actors wise. Both the casts are amazing. They're both well done. They're both well executed. Gene's point, they both have great speeches. You have Denzel, you have Bill Paxton, saying, "I want them to remember the night they played the Titans." Like, and then you have the James Earl Jones speech on when he gets off from the bleachers before he goes into the corn with Shoeless Joe. They're both classic. They're both timeless. I'm just going with my gut and my heart on this, and I'm going with Field of Dreams.
Listen, I don't think anyone's going to argue. Well, I think people argue with you, but I think you can make an argument. 3 out of these 4 movies, with the exception of Rounders, will be listed on everyone's list as to top 10 movies in all sports.
Correct.
So I know Rounders won't be on some people's list because people argue whether poker's a sport or not. But these 2 movies are heavyweights. Control, where you going?
You got Shoeless Joe. You got Sunshine.
Sunshine. Kachal, I love that you know who Shoeless Joe is too. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I mean, Field of Dreams is it has to. It makes you know stuff like that. I'll say that. But I'm gonna go Remember the Titans here. I do think it is close. Denzel's slight edge here. Slight edge. Football, I make no quorums about it. Football is it's my favorite sport. So that mixed with Denzel, mixed with just the story of it all. Remember the Titans, slight edge, 4-point win in overtime, moving on in championship game.
Well, it might not, but I had 2 quotes lined up. If you would have went with Field of Dreams, I would have hit you. And I swear to God, I'm going to hit you so hard. Ooh, boy, you're going to need a new haircut. But you didn't. So I'm going to go with the second one. I'm a winner. I'm going to win. Yeah, listen, guys. Field of Dreams is an awesome movie. I make no bones about it. Denzel Washington is the greatest actor of all time. Julius, Bertier, those linebackers they went on to Georgia. Played on the Georgia defense. I'm kidding. I'm going to Remember the Titans here. And I love Field of Dreams, but Remember the Titans to me is just, and don't you dare move that from the screen, because what we are going to do now is we are going to cast our votes for the championship. And then on top of that, we will post it. So our votes are worth 5 points, just like we did last time. We'll do it again. Our votes are worth 5 points. And then the championship, and then we'll let the listeners vote, and we'll see how it ends up turning out. Remember the Titans versus the Sandlot. That is the finals. I think if you said before this whole thing started that was your finals, no one argues with you.
Yeah.
You got the childhood dream of the Sandlot versus Remember the Titans. I don't know how to just kind of give like a little bit of a nudge there either way. I will go second because I went first and third.
I will go last on this one because I haven't gone last.
Cottrell?
I am going with the Sandlot here. I think the 2 seed ultimately wins it. Both of these movies are, well, when I first seen both of these movies was a big part of my childhood, and the Sandlot just has that slight edge for me. I know what I just said about football, but the Sandlot as a whole, it just means a little bit more. Going with the Sandlot here.
So I already know I'm behind by 5 points because I'm going Remember the Titans as my number 1 movie. Listen, I may be a mean cuss, but I'm the same mean cuss every week on this damn show. To everybody out there on the football field, to every listener out there, Remember the Titans, Denzel Washington, Herman Boone. I can't. Listen, the Gettysburg speech. How, Cottrell, I am disappointed in you. Once again, we get Herman Boone all the way to the finals, and you let me down again. This is what you do. I've had this argument with you guys before. It was versus Eric Taylor.
Coach Taylor, baby.
Now I'm having it again, and I feel like I'm going to get 2-1 again. And I'm going to remember the Titans here, and it looks like I will be a 5-point dog come this week in the voting. But I don't know. Maybe Bill will surprise me. Maybe Bill will come through in the clutch. Maybe it'll be a time where Bill, listen, heroes get remembered, but legends never die, Bill. On to you, my friend. I use that as a little Sandlot reference. I understand where I'm going.
This made this easy for me. I was dreading. I was dreading Field of Dreams versus Sandlot. That would have been really, really tough for me. This is easy for me. As much as I love Remember the Titans, love Denzel, respect him, all that good stuff. Sandlot is just a better movie. Everybody can relate to Sandlot. There's a million quotes in Sandlot. Gene's throwing stuff already. It's clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose all over again.
This is it.
Sandlot gets my vote. I think that's ultimately your champion. I think Sandlot's one of those movies, to Cottrell's point, I feel like when you grow up, like, everybody remembers the first time they watched Sandlot. It's just
I remember the first time I watched Remember the Titans.
It's just, that's good. It's that perfect blend of a growing up tale, camaraderie, your friendships, playing baseball, being kind of like the ragtag kids and playing the preppy kids from across town, at their nice field. It's just everything all together. And it's just a great story of growing up, man. It just has everything you'd want in a movie. It's funny. It's got kind of sad parts. James Earl Jones is great in this movie too. He kind of steals the movie at the end. So for me, it's Sandlot.
So I'm going to end with 3 quotes before you guys vote, and I want you guys to vote. This is for the listeners. This is not for Cottrell, who let me down again. This is not for him. This is definitely not for Bill. Sometimes life is hard. Sometimes life is hard for no reason at all. And you guys make it hard for no reason at all. Remember, the Titans should win this, but that's okay. This is no democracy. It is a dictatorship, and I am the law. So when you guys go vote, understand, remember the Titans, because attitude reflects leadership. Captain, I'm done. We'll have this posted tonight. The voting will be all week. Remember the Titans versus Sandlot. We'll give the listeners, everyone will share it, and we'll share our winner. Don't check that box yet, Michael. Don't check that box yet, because Sandlot did not win yet. And I believe in a comeback.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. That was really good to add
killing
in
me,
there.
Smalls.
Killing me. You play ball like a girl.
Listen, I love Sandlot. There's no it got this far because of me. Because if I didn't pick it over, no, there was no split. Oh yeah, I could have picked White Man Can't Jump. It'd be gone. Cottrell picked White Man Can't Jump over Sandlot. So what you eventually said is White Man Can't Jump is a better movie than Remember the Titans. I just want you to understand that, Cottrell. But then you picked Jerry Maguire over White Man Can't Jump. So what you said was Jerry Maguire is a better movie than than The Sandlot.
That's not what I said.
Which said
it's all about matchup. It's all about matchups. All right, that's the key. Matchups are the key.
Oh, look, Johnny Bracero brings it all together. He goes, attitude reflects leadership, but legends never die. It's basically bringing it all together. I like it. Respect.
Wendy Peppercorn, bro.
I have no answer to that.
No.
How do you answer that?
Squints tied it down.
Listen, I got to give Squints all the credit.
Yeah, so you like bold moves, man. That's the boldest move ever.
All right, so
you went all in.
NBA playoffs.
Do it.
I'm ready. I feel like I want to start with the Sixers after a 35-point drubbing last night.
And the game they didn't show up for that one.
Why go there? Listen, I was on
I
record.
agree with you. If you were going to do that, I'd be like, yeah, you guys just take the game. You can come back here in 2 days and we'll just rest.
Yeah, like, just play all the backups if you're going to show up like that. But I am on record, and I told you guys, and I told friends, and multiple people have heard this out of my mouth. There was no way the Sixers were winning 4 straight games. None.
No.
So if they're going to lose a game, 5's the one you want to lose. You didn't want to win 5 and then lose 6 in Philly and then have to go to Miami.
I mean, it depends how you want to look
Yeah,
at it.
but if you could have won, I mean, if you could have won 5 and went back home, I mean,
yeah,
you're in the
I
driver's
have to
seat.
say, I'll take 5 and then put the pressure on them, saying they have to win the last 2 games because now that's the situation the Sixers are in. Game fives are mini game 7s. That's what they are. If you're tied 2-2, that's really what they are.
I think the Sixers win Game 6.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, listen, the 2 games in Philly. I mean, I think we would all agree the Sixers outplayed Miami. You kind of look between the lines, though. There was a lot of other stuff there that was kind of like the hint of this was coming. Maybe not a 35-point blowout. I just don't think the odds. The odds of Miami shooting that terribly 3 games in a row.
It's not that.
Oh, it is that they shot under 20% from 3 for 2 straight games. The odds of that happening for 3 straight games were not good.
People shoot better in their home courts.
I agree. I'm disagreeing.
Where I think that I agreed with you. I think that this was showing this was coming. Here's where I agree. Danny Green's not going to make 8 threes in a playoff game again.
No.
And James Harden isn't going to have a fourth quarter like he did. And that's the reason they won games 3 and 4.
James Harden.
But with that being said, I think Joel Embiid has a monstrous Game 6.
It's got to be JoJo.
Be the big key.
It has to be JoJo. It's had to be JoJo all year, and more than ever, it has to be JoJo tomorrow night. It has to be.
What did he have in Game 3 points wise?
16.
And then game 4 he had 17.
25.
I mean, with the first game
back, 4?
I mean, he was gassed.
Yeah, he had 15 in the first quarter, and then he slowed down. But he had 25
then game 5 he had 17.
Game 5, 17. Right. But Game 5, it was. I'll tell you right now.
Course,
game 3, 16 was better than Game 5, 17.
Way better.
I
agree.
His body language, bro. There's been reports. I really hope this isn't true, but there's been reports he's been moping around about the MVP. He hasn't been talking to teammates. He even said in a press conference that he's like, when outside factors happen and you just don't have it and you're just not there. Like he said that in a press conference, bro. He even alluded to retiring in a few years. I don't know what I could do to win the award. I've been answering questions all year. Yeah, last year I campaigned for it. Like, this is hinting real babyish. I'm hoping that Game 5 was that kick in the nuts that he needed, and he comes back Game 6 and dominates like he should. And I think it's an epic Game 7. I don't know if they win. I said before the series I have Boston over Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I think Boston clearly wins versus Milwaukee, but we'll get into that. I think the Sixers win Game 6 and we see a Game 7 Sunday. I just don't know what will happen in that game. If you pressed me and wanted an unbiased answer, I'd say Heat by 5. Very close game.
I think tomorrow night's gonna be a battle. Like, I don't think it's gonna be. I think you're gonna get that game tomorrow night as well. I think there's a decent chance the Sixers win that game. I think it's gonna be close. I do think Miami will close them out in Game 7.
Wow, Milwaukee came back, took the lead. 6 seconds left, they're up 1.
Yeah, Boston got the ball.
Bobby Portis makes a 2-point shot.
Yeah, so I mean, Boston could, in theory, go down 3-2 right now, which makes that very interesting.
Drew Holiday just blocked Marcus Smart's shot, and Bucks have the ball with 6.8 seconds left.
Well, that game's over.
No, it's 1-point game. They're going to foul. They got a shot. I think it's incredible to me that Milwaukee's hanging in that series without Chris Middleton. If that doesn't tell you Giannis the best player in the league, I don't know what does.
What's that?
Said it before the series, though. We had it going 7. Me and Bill.
Yeah, it's that, and it's they know how to win now. I mean, you win a championship, you constantly have that in your back of your mind. There's certain situations you get in where you don't press, you don't panic because you've kind of been there, you've been through the war at that point. And it's we talk about it all the time with other sports. Experience is invaluable come playoffs, and that's just a perfect. I mean, I watched 3 shows today about that game tonight, and there's not one person on ESPN or Fox that picked Milwaukee to win that game tonight. Everybody picked Boston, and they're probably about to win. So.
And Giannis has 40, and Al Horford has 8.
There you go.
I just want to make that comment because if you watch Game 4, that was the best game average Al's ever played in his entire career. And
Correct.
That dunk with the elbow at the end, I haven't seen emotion out of that from Al Horford ever.
Well, right. So I mean, if you thought that was gonna be duplicated tonight, I mean, you're crazy.
40-8. I don't know. I know that's not the matchup. It's Tatum versus Giannis in the sense that, like, the top scorer, Tatum's got 34. But I really think the rest of the role players on Boston let them down looking at the stat sheet tonight. I haven't watched the game. I have it on DVR, but, you know, Jaylen Brown, 26, Marcus Smart, 15, and Daniel Tice, 11.
Tatum's got 34, but he's 2 for 11 from 3.
It's just a really, really fun game. Pat Covington just drained his first free throw. I love just giving updates when you guys are watching. This is fun to me. But it's back to the Sixers. Cottrell, Philadelphia versus Miami. What do you think?
I said before the series that this would be a series that won 6 games, assuming that Joel came back in game 3. I'm actually going to waver off of that one. I think the Miami Heat win, but I think they win it in 7. I think the Sixers win at home. These teams have just shown me, and there's a few other teams in the playoffs that have shown me the same thing. They just cannot win on the road. And I think these are 2 teams that are having that same problem. They can't win on the road. And I get it. You know, home court plays a big deal in a lot of people's, you know, game plan and things like that. But these 2 teams are just drastically different. The energy from the Sixers was drastically different at home. The will to want to win was just drastically different than being at home. Game 5 happened. They came out flat. And Miami didn't play this just great game. Like, nothing was different from Miami. The Sixers just didn't have it. So
a little was different. Max Strus was different, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, he had it going, but I mean, Harden. There was nothing different from the Sixers end. Like, I get it, you know, Danny Green's not going to hit 8 threes again, but if Harden can go out and score 35, you know, 2 days before, why can't he come out and just be aggressive and just have that same mindset going into game 5?
I'll say this: the thing that I would say pissed me off the most is, and I am more critical of Doc than anybody. I've been critical. I wanted him fired last year. This isn't him though. You can't be Joel Embiid, James Harden, all those guys go out and start that game with that energy.
That's Joel.
Game 5. I don't care who it is. It's all.
No, I'm telling you, that game 5 was Joel. I love Joel. You hear me that big. You actually say I don't give Joel enough criticism. I'm telling you, game 5 was all. You know what game 5 reminded me of? You remember game 4 versus Toronto when Joel had the stomach bug and played like crap?
Yep.
That's what it reminded me of. He looked like he was disinterested. And to be that way in game 5 in a playoff game is just absurd to me.
I mean, it's kind of telling. I mean,
role players play so much better at home. George Niang still hasn't had a shot in Miami.
And honestly, that was kind of the first game that Strauss even played somewhat decent. So I mean, it's, you know, listen, you come out with that energy in the playoffs and you're playing in a 1-seed home court. I mean, you're probably gonna get blown off the court. And that's exactly what happened. I expected them to come out like a bat out of hell tomorrow night. And we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be one of those, you know, typical kind of, you know, scenarios for Miami. Can they withstand the initial burst, stay in the game, you know, get it to halftime and be within 8 or 10, and I think they have a shot. You know, if Philly comes out and blows the doors off them, then I think it's a different story.
101-93.
What's your guys' thoughts on Matisse? Obviously, he's never been this offensive threat, but I mean, he's basically been useless on the court. Not saying that you have a better option off the bench, but where would you go with that? Do you just have to play him just because he's what you have, or
let me get to this first?
You can go first because me and Gene have completely different takes on this.
Maybe on the road in Miami, I would play him all game over George Niang because George Niang hasn't made a shot in Miami. At home, Danny Green has to be playing. Matisse Thybulle can't be playing at home. He just can't. If I'm the 76ers, I'm having Matisse Thybulle literally, when you have Maxey, Embiid, Harden, and Tobias on the floor, Matisse would be my 5th and literally follow Jimmy Butler around. Even on offense. When the Sixers are on offense, I'd have Matisse following Jimmy Butler. Even if he's sticking somebody, just follow him. I don't really give a shit what you do. Just follow him around. Jimmy Butler is sticking somebody else. Matisse Thybulle just, hey, I'm just following you around the entire game. But in Philadelphia, when your role players can hit your shots, 100%. I don't play him as much. Danny Green's proven that he's been hitting threes and he's been a problem. You have to play Danny Green. But to be fair, Tyrese Maxey, Danny Green, and Danny Green actually hit 2 early, but Matisse Thybulle, they've had no offensive production from anyone. Tyrese Maxey was terrible in the first half of all 3 games of Miami. In the first half, let me just be clear. Maxey, I don't know if they need to like hit Miami up and be like shoot on their court for a few hours, have a shoot around on the actual court, because I don't know what it is, what the difference is, but they cannot shoot in that building. George Niang's 0 for his last 15 3-pointers there.
I mean, it's no different than what Miami did when they were here. I mean, listen, all those arenas, they're all different. They all have different sight lines. And again, like you said, like when you play 50 games a year in your home court, you just see everything better there. It's no different than now. It's you saw Miami. They couldn't hit the side of a barn 2 games here, and they went down last night. They didn't freaking miss anything. Like, just the way it is, man. That's why you want home court advantage.
101-93, Sixers game 6. Game 7, I'll say 105-99. Miami.
I think the Sixers win like 106-102 tomorrow night. And then I'll say Miami like 111-98 Saturday.
Will that be Doc Rivers' last game coaching as a 76ers head coach?
No, probably not. No. Should be. Should have been fired last year, but neither here nor there.
It'll be interesting offseason. Let's so now that we know Milwaukee won game 5 in Boston, do they close out 6 in Milwaukee, or do you think that Boston goes to Milwaukee and wins?
I think they have to. I mean, I wouldn't want to go back to Boston for game 7.
They're not winning game 7 in Boston.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't watch the game. I can only read what they got put on. I have very critical questions to ask about the coaching in the last 15 seconds of that game.
Why Marcus Smart has the ball?
Twice.
Both
twice.
Times. Yep.
Against
I have to watch it.
Against their best on-ball defender.
Yep, Drew Holiday.
Like, Jesus Christ. Like, what are
Drew Holiday blocked him and then stole the ball.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
Once again, though, I mean, that's how they got the win and play against Brooklyn, though. So, I mean, maybe they were just trying to,
I guess
hit the well twice.
I don't know. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are just dramatically better players than Marcus Smart. I just don't know how you put the game in his hands. That just makes no sense to me, especially with Drew Holiday covering him. I mean, that's different than anybody from Brooklyn covering him as well.
I completely agree with you. So I'll still say Boston in 7.
Man,
I'm going to waver again.
It's fine. You're allowed to.
I had the Celtics in 7 before the series. I'll take the Bucks in 6. I don't think Giannis loses on his home court. I keep doubting him, and he just keeps showing up. Like, in my mind, it almost gets to the point. How many? Not the exact box score tonight, obviously, but how many 38 8-8 games can Giannis have? In the end, it's just infinite. Like, he's just going to come out and give you what he has every single night. There's going to be no
nonetheless too. Yeah. Like
40, 11, and 3.
Just nuts.
Just FYI.
That's all the time, though. There is no Giannis wasn't aggressive. I mean, you may get Giannis wasn't as aggressive tonight, but at the end of the day, he's still going to have 30, at least 6 and 6. Like, it's just who he is. Like, best player in the league.
Yeah, 100%. We can put the rest to Kevin Durant shit.
Yep. And it's not even the winning.
Correct.
I'm going to do the same. I don't think Boston gets out of Milwaukee. I don't. I think you figure.
I'll be on my alone bridge.
Going home. You like that place tonight,
I love it.
So, I mean, it's like the tree branch thing. Me and you can't fit on the same bridge anyway. It's hazardous to people's health.
What kind of shit is that, dude?
Just
call me fat.
I'm fat. So that's fine. It is. I don't think they get out. I don't think they get out of Milwaukee. I agree with Cottrell. I don't think there's any way Giannis loses that game. God forbid it comes down to a close call or something. Milwaukee's gonna get their way there with it being home. I just think Giannis closes it out. I really do.
Okay, that's fair, and that's fine. Let's go to Western Conference. Golden State closed out tonight.
Agreed.
No Ja Morant.
Yes.
By the way, just because we need to bring this up,
they literally played piss poor and still won the other night.
Ja Morant play? Jordan Poole? 30?
No.
Grabbed his knee and pulled it. He did. Listen, I don't think it was dirty either. I have to somewhat take the other side.
Pull is a strong word there.
They're actually saying they think Ja Morant hurt his knee on a different play, and that play just made him feel it.
Correct.
They actually rewinded it. There was a play where
the thing is too that Jordan Poole play. He hit the ball first. Like I don't know. I didn't see anything that was dirty there.
I just asking.
It's definitely nowhere near in the realm of the Dylan Brooks play.
I'll say this though. This might sound nuts because we're about to get into the other series. I'm Memphis. I put the full court press on to sign DeAndre Ayton this offseason. And that's why I pair with John Bradford. Full court press.
I'm not against it. I told you. I mean, he's been very clear with what he said before the season, and they didn't get it done. And he's literally said like
test their market.
Yeah,
I think,
and they
can afford the max. They can afford the max.
They have plenty.
Memphis has plenty of money.
If I'm Memphis though, I mean, if I absolutely have to move somebody, I do a sign and trade deal and send Jaren Jackson to Phoenix.
You don't have to. He's an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, I know you don't have to, but if Memphis hypothetically wants to make another move just to clear some cap space or however that goes, I don't think you need to pair Jaren and DeAndre together. Especially Jaren Jackson has shown you he can't be trusted in the playoffs. And I get it, he's still a young guy. Like the jury's not out on him, but
the problem is Kyle Anderson's already a free agent, so you got to have somebody to put your four.
I think you obviously you can afford, literally monetarily wise, you can afford to keep Jackson for a year, and I think you wait to see how it plays out. I mean, at some point, like Ja's going to come up, like you're going to have to re-sign Ja eventually.
Yeah,
so
Ja Brooks, Bane,
all of them.
Jaren Jackson, Ayton sounds like a starting five that can win the NBA Finals to me.
And listen, I mean, if you're Ayton, I would assume Memphis is on his short list of places you want to go. So
why would you not? Basketball's back in Memphis, bro.
Well, that, and again, I mean, you know, we've talked about Chris Paul at length on this show. I mean, but he's got maybe 1 or 2 years left. I mean, that's not something. It'd be hard to. I mean, your argument is you have Booker, so I mean, you could literally pair the two of them forever, and be happy. But you have to know that Chris Paul's leaving at some point because he's going to retire.
Wins the NBA Finals this year. Who says he doesn't?
If Chris Paul wins the NBA Finals this year, I don't know why he wouldn't retire.
I agree with you.
He's
done everything he needs to do.
It'd be stupid to come back.
I'll tell you why. He still has money and he still can play at a high level. I mean, you could argue that
more than enough money, and you're also seeing him.
True.
And you're starting to see him get into a lot of other like philanthropic things. I think there's plenty of things he would like to do.
Yep. I think he's
still playing at a high level, man.
Bro, I'm not saying he can't play like physically, like he can't do it. Like
he's 37 though.
Yeah, but I mean,
next year's playoffs he'll be 38,
and it's a hard 37.
We don't see NBA players, and granted, Chris Paul isn't at the top by any means, but we don't see NBA players retire at the top, like still caliber playing wise. Like, I mean, if you go into next season and you said Chris Paul is a top 3-point guard, while I may not have that going into the season, I mean, it'd be hard to argue against that. So
how great.
But right off the bat, you're probably knowing if you come back next year, you don't have Ayton. I mean,
you don't know that right now.
You don't, but
and if they don't have Ayton, they have money to sign somebody. So it's not like they're going to be like.
I get it, but I mean, again, you're trying to bring somebody in. You can't really sell them.
Isn't Mikal Bridges a free agent too? That's tough. That's a tough task.
That team will look different next year.
I think Mikal Bridges doesn't re-sign there.
No, because somebody's going to pay him.
Overpay him.
Somebody's going to overpay him.
I love Mikal. He's going to get 22 a year though.
Yeah,
which is too much. For a wing defender, that's
listen, man,
average 3-point shooter.
I
love Mikal. Let me just be clear.
If you're Chris Paul, it's hard to turn down the Elway. It really is.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It literally puts. I mean, listen, he's already
Paul
Gravitt,
who's a avid Suns fan, said Bridges is locked up. I guess I was incorrect. I thought he wasn't.
He signed one this year.
Maybe he said he is, and he got $16 million a year.
There you go. I mean, that's a good deal for them. That's a good deal for them.
That's a great deal for them.
It's a good team deal.
Signed a 4-year deal in December.
That was this year. There you go.
It was this year.
All right.
Okay,
makes sense. I do love that we have like a Phoenix expert at one of our lists.
Bro, and he's awesome.
I know.
He's awesome. Paul's an awesome guy.
I've talked to him a couple of times on Facebook. I'm a fan.
Decent Madden player too.
Never played him, Madden. I don't know.
He's definitely a good Madden player.
That's your realm.
So let's get into the series though. Phoenix versus Dallas. I had a question I asked Bill in the car, and I kind of want to get your opinion. How do you feel about Mamba Booker? Like and what I mean by that is just follow me. I know you're looking at where it would. Devin Booker was never this mean guy. Devin Booker was never this trash talking, this I don't want to say dirty player. He's not a dirty. He might be a little bit. I love Devin Booker.
He's playing with an edge now.
I think
an edge. That's the best way to put it.
I think part of it too, though, is that I think him and Luka have like a legit beef, though. Like I think if it was the Suns going up against like another team, I mean, yeah, I mean, I get it. The thing is, though, these two teams, they have this beef going back and forth. Like Devin Booker thinks Luka's flopping all the time, and they're just chopping it up all game. Like I don't think
it's not the first series.
I don't think Devin Booker has.
And Jalen Brunson might be the nicest player in the whole league.
I think Brunson would knock both of them out, though.
Bro, did you see that shove?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll take Brunson.
I love that Brunson shove after like Devin Booker blocked him and like you're effing soft and blah blah blah.
I'll take Brunson in both fights.
Brunson might be the nicest guy.
Because this is what I said to you when we walked in here. Like, I love the edge, and I like that he's playing. It's kind of
I like it too.
But nobody is worried about squaring up with Devin Booker
or Luka.
Neither.
It's like celebrity deathmatch.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's like
nobody is sweating either one of them on the court.
I will say the one thing that Luka kind of has going for him is that he may have this like unknown advantage where like maybe Luka was fighting bears in Slovakia when he was like 8 years old. Like, who knows?
Luke has no Khabib in him whatsoever. Like zero.
Paul said Devin has always been a bit of a prick on the court in a good way. He loves to be hated. And I get that. I understand that. That's the reason LeBron stuck up for him, the reason Kobe loved him so much.
He's just more vocal now.
He's a lot more vocal now.
There's that.
I mean, when you're a superstar, you have to have that leniency, though. Like Devin Booker has reached superstar level, and you get that leniency once you get that level.
Banging Ben's ex. I mean, he's
the only guy that the Kardashian hasn't screwed up.
They will.
Eventually, it's coming.
They don't miss. They don't miss at all. They'll get him eventually. Trust me, it's coming.
I just, dude, that's a sure bet. By the way,
that's why there's no odds on it. They don't miss their mark.
No,
they're more deadly than Chris Kyle. They don't miss. Man. They don't miss. The only thing I'll say is like
that's hilarious.
Kendall is a little bit more, I want to say, removed. I mean, she's not Kim. She's not. Like,
she's destroyed Ben's life.
Ben. She lives rent free in Ben's head. I mean, that's there's no doubt.
He hasn't played a game since they broke up.
I know.
Just saying.
Listen, man.
Now that Nets are talking about trading him, did you hear that?
I didn't hear that.
The Hawks are very interested.
Yeah.
For what?
I think it's Ben and Kyrie for Trey. I'm not kidding.
I don't do that.
I'm not kidding.
We'll
get.
I wouldn't do that.
How do you think this series? Do you think that Phoenix wins it in 6 or 7? I'm not allowing you to pick Dallas.
I think Phoenix wins it in 7. This is another series where you got two teams that play drastically different at home than on the road. I saw a blowout come in Game 5 a mile away.
Yeah.
I didn't think Phoenix would lose Game 4. Honestly, like I know I said before the series that I thought it was going to go 6 and then Phoenix was going to win it in 6. But after seeing Game 3 and how poorly they played, I thought they just had to play a little bit better and they were going to win Game 4. And they just came out, laid another dud. So I think, and Chris Paul got in foul trouble. I don't think that necessarily happens again in Dallas, but I think Dallas finds a way to win at home. And then Phoenix rolls them in Game 7, 15, 18-point win, and you get a Warriors Suns Western Conference Finals.
I'm not kidding with you. I'm waiting. I want to see the referee tandem that they tomorrow morning when they release who's ref. I'm not kidding. It really matters in this series.
It does because Chris has been in the league so long. Like there's definitely refs, for lack of a better term, that he does not get along
Scott
with.
Foster?
The Scott Foster
but
stuff.
The crazy thing was
bad.
They won the Scott Foster.
They won it, and the game that he had the four in the first half, Scott Foster wasn't even there.
I know.
I think Phoenix actually closes out tomorrow night. I think it took a lot of things to go in Dallas's favor. One of them being Chris Paul playing awful. He really didn't play well last night either. He didn't play great. He didn't play Chris Paul like anyway. We'll go that way. And they still won easily. I don't. I think Dallas should be happy that they got this far. I think Phoenix closes out tomorrow night.
I think so too. I think Phoenix wins tomorrow night too. I think big game from Devin Booker. I think a 40 spot.
And then we get a banger.
Dude.
Woo.
I would pay admission.
Good Lord.
I'd pay admission to watch every game of that series. Every game will be on my DVR.
You're not going for free, so.
Oh, they are going for free. I don't have to. I don't have to watch them live.
Oh, well,
in the stadium.
I thought you meant live.
No, bro. Honestly, I'm not kidding. I'm one of the few people in the world. I enjoy sports more at home than I do at the stadiums.
Depends on the sport.
Baseball's the only one I like
Depends
watching
on the
better
seat.
live.
It doesn't like the one I will argue. I will absolutely 100% watch football at home versus going to a stadium.
I will watch every sport at home.
Depends on the seat
versus the stadium.
Football,
You give me 50-yard line seats in football, I'd still rather watch it at home.
I'd rather watch it at home.
can't
And the reason I'll tell you this, and I say that for the NFL because I don't feel that way for college. I think the coverage is so much different to watch an NFL game at home. I'd rather watch it at home. Hockey, I've been absolutely spoiled with having access to tickets for the last couple of years, like on the glass. Hockey is just insanity to watch live that close. You realize how fast they are and just how much quicker everything moves and how they have to react and everything else. Basketball, I'm a little indifferent. Like going to the Sixers playoff games 2 years ago, right before COVID. That was fun, and I hadn't been to a Sixers game in a long time. So the Sixers game a little bit indifferent, and baseball, hands down, I'd rather be live. I'd rather be in person.
Baseball, 100%. So let's get into You Got to Be Kidding Me. So real quick, no.
Just last thing on the NBA matchup. I don't think the Warriors I know we're going to get into it. Warriors don't lose any games in Oracle, and I think they steal one in Phoenix.
So you're going like
just don't know when the series is going to start.
So you're going
Warriors in 6.
They'll all start on Tuesday or Wednesday. Because Sunday is the game 7 for every series, and at least one from each conference is going 7, and you're not going.
We don't have the time to get into it, but isn't it crazy that Phoenix and Dallas, and there was I forgot the Eastern. I think it was Milwaukee and the Celtics. They got a 4-day break during the middle of the week last.
So
week.
Dumb. So
It's
dumb.
nuts.
Yeah. Joel Embiid didn't. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
So, Mike, I sent you a video from mine. I don't need it now, but just FYI, if you don't mind looking it up. Let's get into You Got to Be Kidding Me. Cottrell, start us off.
All right, so I actually got a couple this week. The first one's going to be there was a fan that went after Chris Paul's wife at the Mavs and Suns playoff game. This was a situation where, their side, the fan side, saying that they just went over asking for a hug. Chris Paul said there was a push involved. Regardless of how it happened, fans or family, friends, whoever of these athletes, they don't need to be approached by fans. I get it. You're there, you're rooting against a certain player and you're going to criticize them, whatever. You don't have to get their family involved at all. Don't touch them. You don't have to say anything to them. If you want to criticize a player, yell at them in the court, completely all good with that. Don't go over to these guys' families and just either trash talk them, push them, touch them. You don't have to do any of that, completely out of line there. So for that, the Dallas Mavs fan that was in the wrong there.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Cottrell, 10-second comment on that. I'm a big Chris Paul supporter. I understand protecting your family. Put her in a friggin' box. Don't have her in where you had her. And there's very conflicting reports on that. For one, it's like a 14-year-old kid. And I don't know if a 14-year-old kid's walking up to Chris Paul's mom trying to push him. I much side on that. I want to give her a hug or I just want to get more information before I take a stance on that. Hey, I'm a big Chris Paul fan.
Have we seen?
I hear you.
Have we seen any video of the actual thing? Because all I've seen is the aftermath of it.
Yeah. The other thing though too is at 14, I get it, you're still a kid, but you know better. Don't. There's a certain bubble that you shouldn't cross. If you want to ask, I'm with you. If you want to, hey, is it possible? Can this happen? Don't just run up to her. That's
get
just
it.
it's just
I get
not
it.
what you do.
I get it, but
And at
I mean,
14, you definitely should still
to
know
Gene's
better.
point too, like you're kind of like public access at that point. Like you're sitting in a seat just like everybody else. Like I understand it's a players section.
It's Chris Paul's mom. Put her in a box.
Yeah, I don't want to give benefits of doubt because we've seen enough crazy fan shit, especially this year, like across like all sports. So, but I kind of lean towards Gene. Like I just really find it hard to believe this kid, 14-year-old kid, like ran down a couple steps and tried to push somebody's mom.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it could happen. Don't get me wrong, because there's a lot of young punk kids these days. But I don't know. I want to see the video of actually what happened because all I've seen is like the aftermath, like when Chris started yelling at people and then like everybody got involved and it became like a big thing. But I mean, I agree with Cottrell too, though. I mean, just leave people the hell alone. But it is what it is.
All right. Do you have a second one?
Yeah, the other one that I wanted to slightly touch on is Delaware State had a lacrosse team that was traveling back home, and along the way they got pulled over. Their bus got pulled over, and there were some Georgia cops there Georgia sheriffs asking them about, you know, do you have anything here that you shouldn't have? And at first it was just a routine traffic stop, but then afterwards they told all the players, you know, we're going to search everything here. We're going to bring in our canines, our drug canines, things like that. The coach, the athletic director from Delaware State, they tried to make it abundantly clear that this is just a player's bus. We're coming home from a game that we had, but these sheriffs just didn't care. So they went under the bus. They searched everything, and you know these players had all their stuff just tossed out. And there's conflicting reports there as well. Sheriffs are saying they didn't actually go in any of these bags or anything like that. But this is just another case where, you know, this is just something that shouldn't have happened, especially when you have these athletic directors there and the coaches there. So for that this week, the Georgia Sheriff's Office.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Shally.
So mine's kind of two-pronged this week. It's kind of the same league, I guess you could say, but it's a twofold thing. I'm gonna need both your help on it though, so just follow me here. So if everybody's not familiar, Brittany Griner has been detained in Russia over carrying, depending on what you read, you know, weed paraphernalia, pen, oil, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm gonna start by this way. She needs to be a little bit smarter. You have to know what's going on in the world. She's played in Russia before. She knows it's not allowed. With the climate of the world, especially with the relationship between the U.S. and Russia right now, don't think you should be trying to sneak that stuff in, even though you're a player and everybody knows who you are. But that being said, it comes to the crux of my real, you got to be kidding me this week. So we discussed this before. So, Gene, what is one thing professional franchises do not do?
I don't know.
Lose money.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Everybody's always bitching about the WNBA. They don't get paid enough, blah, blah, blah. And you wonder why they're bitching about it? Because it's true. So I did a little research on this. There's only 17 players in the entire league that make over $200,000 a year. So, casual sports fan. You know who Deladon is?
Yes.
Cottrell, you know who Skylar Diggins is?
Of course.
You know who Sue Bird is?
Yes.
Cottrell, you know who Breonna Stewart is, right?
Absolutely.
We all do. For lack of a better term, most of these women are household names. If people follow basketball, they knew who all these girls are. Between professional leagues, especially college, like we talk about them on the show. We've talked about them like, hey, you know, like we talked about, you know, Breonna Stewart before, Skylar Diggins, all these girls, like they're going to get drafted. They're going to be great pros. Pay these women more money. Because you know what happens when you pay them more money? They don't have to go overseas to play. Diana Taurasi spends 3.5 to 4 months of her life every year in China playing to make additional income because she only makes $200,000 in the WNBA, and she's borderline been the face of the goddamn league since it started. It's a joke. I looked up like some of these things, like some of, you know, they're saying, oh, the WNBA makes $70 million to run it. Teams only make 60. But then I looked up the values of every franchise. Every franchise is worth almost more than $60 million. So how are they losing money? Because they're not. These owners are being stingy. It's time to start paying athletes what they're worth. I'm not saying Diana Taurasi should make $35 million a year. She shouldn't. They don't have revenue for that. But are you telling me Diana Taurasi can only make $218,000 a year? That's a joke. They have more money than that. Because rich people don't own things that don't make money. They don't. And what do professional sports teams not do, Gene?
They don't lose money.
Correct. Pay the goddamn women what they deserve. You can pay Dinas Rossi. Every team can afford to pay a player $1 million a year, and then you don't have any of these situations because Brittany Griner doesn't have to struggle through and grind through a WNBA season, take 2 weeks off, and then get on a plane to go to freaking Russia to play over there for 2.5 months.
They make more money.
Correct. They make more money over there, but that's why they're doing it to supplement their income. That's why it sucks. If you pay them what they're worth here, then they don't have to do that. It's not a necessity at that point. The professional athletes only making $200,000 that stay in shape just like an NBA player has to, just like a Major League Baseball player has to, and they just don't have the income to do it. They have to go over there, make it an option for them. If Brittany Griner's making $1 million a year here, plus her endorsements, and then she still wants to go to Russia, okay, that's on her then. But at least she's supplemented properly here, like she should be. So for this week, WNBA, get your pay structure in order because you guys are literally ripping these women off right now. So for this week, WNBA.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
And Gene, before you cue yours, I just wanted to throw a quick tidbit in just to add on that. The WNBA, they don't charter flights, and they just had a player miss a game because they caught COVID, and they think that it originated from one of the commercial flights they had to be on. So it's just another thing about the WNBA just not doing right by their players.
I also think the Griner thing happened in February. I don't think it just.
Okay, but
I just think it happened at
February
February
24th is when it happened.
A while, and I think there needs to be like a little bit more of an outrage to get her.
It's an outrage, but it's one of those things. At the end of the day, you're breaking laws in a foreign country.
Understood.
I mean, it's just a tricky situation.
Mine's a little bit more lighthearted. Make sure the volume is on because this is hilarious. Mike.
Jesus.
Yeah, now you can see they locked in. It reminds me of myself. But the real focus.
Okay, it's not Patrick. That's why he ignored me in the beginning. But what is your name, sir?
Paulo Banchero.
Right, okay. Well, I thought I was talking to somebody else. So I'm sorry about that. Whatever.
Yeah, now you can see.
Whatever.
So that is Paulo Banchero, the best player in college basketball. He was in an F1 race, which a lot of people were. Serena Williams, a lot of people were.
Down in Miami, first one. It's a big thing.
And a reporter kept calling him Patrick Mahomes, kept saying, Patrick. And Paulo Banchero was ignoring him, not knowing he was talking to him. And he apparently did that to somebody else, too, there. You're going to report in an event. You have to at least know the people that you're talking to. And not know that's Paulo Banchero and think that's Patrick Mahomes. To think that's Patrick Mahomes, I get it. What? They're light skinned and have curly hair? Like the resemblances?
The same general.
And they're tall.
I don't know.
See, Mahomes isn't that tall, though, is he?
No, Patrick's probably, 6'4", maybe? 6'3"?
I don't know if he's even that big.
I think it's just very,
not 6'10".
Very, very poor reporting work. So for this week, the reporter...
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, little white dude from the BBC covering the F1, dude.
well, we're out of time here.
The best part of that is when he leaves and he turns around and he's like, whatever. Just bitter as hell.
Well, we're out of time here, guys. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, listening to the show this week.
You want to talk about it?
No, we're way past time, guys.
Just so everybody knows. It was brought up last week. There was friendly banter that went back and forth. The game took place last night. Gene's wire-to-wire.
Cue it, Mike. I'm kidding.
He's going to play me off like the Oscar speech here. I played my team, King's Corner. Pretty much Vertex. Everybody knows that. But anyway, so, I mean, do you want to talk about it at all?
Listen, we did not play our best game. We lost 15-5. Shally pitched very well. I'll give him all the credit in the world. He pitched really well. Had a lot of our good hitters off balance. Didn't hurt that one of our best players, probably our best hitter, rolled his ankle walking to left field. Sorry, Jacob. I love you, but he didn't even make it to the field.
Come on, you got to be kidding me.
There you go.
That could have been yours. So 15-5. Yeah.
Shally pitched well. All credit to him and the team. They did really well. With that being said, we look forward to hopefully playing them in the playoffs. We got to get a win this week, and we could play them in the 3-6 matchup, so that'll hopefully be a hopefully we can get our redemption. We definitely didn't put our best foot forward, but congratulations to King's Corner, Shawcross, Shabby, Billy Brancato. Everybody watched the show. They kicked their ass, and there's nothing that we can say. I'm not gonna sit up here and make excuses. They were the better team that night.
Pretty much covers it.
All right, so we're wrapping up the show. Have a great week. Tune in next week. Follow us on Facebook. Download us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and give us a follow on TikTok. Come on, guys. We're trying to grow. We're doing really well there. Have a great one.